The government of Venezuela reported gradual reestablishment of the national electricity system after being subject to a sabotage. The World Health Organization confirmed a humanitarian polio vaccination for the population in the Gaza Strip. On Friday, the 53rd Pacific Islands Forum Leaders meeting held its closing by endorsing a major joint policing initiative and reaching other regional achievements. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Ana Marrera from the teleSUR headquarters in Caracas, Venezuela. We'll begin with the news. Stay with us. From Caracas, our correspondent and colleague Gladys Quesada updates us on how the Venezuelan people are facing Friday's attack on the national power grid. Hello, Gladys. Tell us about it and give us an update, please.
Yeah, Anna, hello. Thanks for this time. Thanks for the contact. And as I always say, thank for the opportunity to communicate and to inform our audience regarding what is going on in Venezuela. I have to stress and summarize some information from morning time, and I recall these dates and this time. At 4:50 a.m. on early morning, there was announced an electricity cut, a sabotage against the power national grid here in Venezuela, which resulted in this lack of electricity, this lack of power here in Caracas, the capital of the country, as well as in other states. And on day on, you know, people has been going out to work because they have to still moving on with their lives. So the commerces, the finances, and the banks and other centers have been operating with only cash transactions. I was reporting this before, and I have to stress this now because the digital systems to access to these accounts, to maybe the cash or maybe to the flow of money in digital ways, digital means, those systems are down, so people cannot operate using their accounts, so they have to use only cash transactions. Moreover, the electrical power, the grid, the power grid, the electrical power has been coming back in some areas of the city, and it's been coming in and out because it's still unstable. But I have to say that the data and internet services are recovered, are coming back, because we were experiencing a lack of these services just 2 hours ago, and now the service is restored partially, but is functioning at some level. Also, I have to say that the government issued a plan, and I was informing that, but I have to stress it, that the government was issuing a plan to provide services of transportation with 250 buses of the Metro line, which is the line of buses that substitutes the metro or the subway here in Caracas when this kind of accidents or any urgency happens. In this case, the government was saying that the subway lines are unable and they cannot operate because of the power cut, but the decision was to use these 250 buses. I have to explain something, because maybe for someone who is from outside Venezuela or doesn't have the information on Venezuela, they don't know this. Okay, so here in Caracas there are two main lines, one that goes north to south and other that goes east to west. In that case, those two main lines, they move a big part or a large part of the 7 million people that live in Caracas, okay, the residents of Caracas that have to go out to work or maybe to do their daily activities. So in this case, those 250 buses are trying to supply this service to those 7 million people who are users of the subway lines. And also, as I wanted to explain, the traffic is going on normally. The National Armed Guard forces, they are serving as facilitators for the traffic. They are standing in the corners, they are standing in the streets, allowing some cars to go by, and others they have to stop, and allowing the pedestrians to go and walk and cross the streets and do their activities. Moreover, the government also has announced the support for 79 healthcare facilities. because this power grid attack, this sabotage against the electric system is also going to affect, is trying to affect, to impact the livelihood and the well-being of the people, and also trying to impact these installations, these facilities of healthcare. But now the government has issued not only the resources, it has allocated power plants, it has allocated power backups, so they can guarantee the service and for the pregnant women, for the children, for the sick one, the elderly, and moreover the emergency units that cannot stop the service. So moreover, that was the information during the day. But now there are other declarations. The Minister of Defense, Vladimir Padrino Lopez, has been saying that he is starting La Centella operation. Centella, which is like spark, which is like a light, a bolt light operation, because it is intended to find the responsible and those accountable for this attack and bring them on to justice. Also, the first vice president of the United Socialist Party of Venezuela, Diosdado Cabello Rondon, he was also saying that it is paramount and necessary to stay calm. He called the population to stay in tranquility, to move on with their daily lives despite these difficulties and these circumstances. And the president of the nation, Nicolás Maduro Moros, he was also saying that people has to have still nerve. Still nerve is an expression to say calm over everything, you know, calm to overcome the difficulties. Also, I want to say, Ana, that Jorge Arreaza, the first secretary of ALBA TCP, one of the movements that joins and comes together and gathers many Latin American countries, one of the many blocks of integration, is calling for respect for Venezuela and is condemning this attack, this sabotage against the power grid here in Venezuela and in Caracas. Also, I want to stress something. This is happening just 1 month after the electoral victory of Nicolás Maduro Moros, 1 month after the elections, the presidential elections here in Venezuela, and this sabotage is also falling in line with one that happened on Tuesday night and also affected northern parts of the city of Caracas. So this is not new for Venezuelan people. This is not a new event for them. So they have the strategies, they have the reliance on themselves in the government, and I have to say, this kind of attacks are only echoing, they're only, you know, doing a resonance with what happened in Venezuela in 2019, when also for 5 days Venezuelans were under this kind of power cuts, and they experienced also the lack of transportation and the lack of other resources. But moreover, they overcame that attack, and they are also being resilient to this one, and they are saying that they are going to move on from this, pass from this, because this is just one more of the many attacks they are receiving in these days in the aftermath of the July 28th elections. And let's recall that on July 29th and 30th, there was terrorist attacks on the subway lines, on the transportation means, and also 27 Venezuelans lost their lives. So moreover, Ana, this is the information. International governments, organizations are supporting Venezuela, are condemning this sabotage, this attack on the power national grid. And the Venezuelan people they are just trying to overcome this and do their normal lives, because that's the premise here in Venezuela, to be in peace, to be resilient, and to find resources and alternatives for themselves and by themselves to face this kind of attacks. Back to you, Ana.
Thank you, Gladys, very much for all your remarks and information during this power grid that happened in the country. Thank you. And now we continue with the news. The government of Venezuela reported gradual reestablishment on the national electricity system after being affected to sabotage, as our colleague and correspondent Gladys said. The Minister of Interior, Diosdado Cabello, informed that the attack on the electric service was planned in advance by ultra-right-wing groups, for which reasons the government applied a contingency plan for the restoration of the service. Let's take a very short break, but we'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. In Ecuador, on Thursday, 5 members of the Coordination of Organizations for the Unity of the Left managed to reach an agreement aimed at the construction of solutions to solve the crisis in the South American nation.
Por la defensa de la vida digna, la paz, la soberanía.
For the defense of dignified life, peace, sovereignty, social organizations, political parties, and movements of the center-left and progressive tendency, in the framework of the meeting of social organizations of the country, we have formed a technical table, and after several working meetings, we present to the country the following agreement with a view to programmatic unity and the construction of immediate solutions to the current crisis that Ecuador is experiencing.
Bolivian judicial authorities confirmed on Thursday that the trial for the Sencata massacre against former de facto President Yanin Yañez, former ministers, former militaries, and police commanders in 2019 will begin on September the 2nd. The State Prosecutor's Office said that the fourth criminal sentencing court of the city of El Alto has set the hearing for the beginning of the oral, public, and contradictory trial for Monday, September the 2nd, 2024. And we move on. The World Health Organization confirmed a humanitarian pause on combat for polio vaccination for the population in the Gaza Strip. During a virtual press conference, the agency's representative in Palestine, Rick Peppercorn, assured that more than 1 million doses are already in the Palestinian territory, while another 400,000 will be shipped soon. Peppercorn also noted that the campaign will begin in central Gaza with a 3-day lull in the fighting, then move to the south and then to the north with similar periods of cessation of hostilities to support the vaccination.
A 2-round polio vaccination campaign will actually start on the 1st of September in the Gaza Strip. During each round of the campaign, the Palestinian Ministry of Health, in collaboration with W.H.O, UNICEF, UNRWA, and partners, will provide 2 drops of the novel oral polio vaccine type 2, so-called NOPV2, to more than 640,000 children under 10 years of age.
Let's take our last break, but before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel at teleSUR English, where you'll be able to watch an interviews, top stories, special broadcasts, and more. Hit the subscribe button and active the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. One final short break, don't go away. Welcome back. On Friday, the 53rd Pacific Islands Forum's leaders meeting PIF held its closing by endorsing a major joint policy initiative and reaching other regional achievements. The initiative stems from an Australian fund plan to improve training and create a multinational crisis reacting force. Thus, 4 training centers will be set across the Pacific, in addition to a hub in Brisbane, Australia. Another significant breakthrough of the summit, which was attended by every PIF leader by Kiribati and by China, the US, and the EU, was the talk held by the Nouméa and colonialist France concerning the future of New Caledonia, in which member leaders will have a fact-finding mission next month.
We have had a fruitful dialogue with a number of stakeholders, including the United Nations Secretary General, representatives from civil society and private sector, heads of our prop agencies, associate members, and foreign observers, as well as our forum dialogue partners. This week, I wanted to touch on the Pacific Policing Initiative. As you would know, Tonga, like many other countries, are facing a number of transnational security challenges, including seeing an increase in drug trafficking, cybercrimes within the Pacific in recent years.
And changing topics. In Ecuador, in the outskirts of Quito, a flora and fauna sanctuary with endemic and threatened species confronts environmentalists and mining companies over illegal loopholes. In 2023, the referendum banned all new mineral extraction in 124,000 hectares of the Andean Choco, a rainforest rich in gold and part of the World Biosphere Reserve. However, the environmentalists and the majority of the inhabitants maintain that nothing has changed since then in the area covered by the decision taken by the majority of the capital's electorate as mining continues, and they demand that the national government and local authorities order the suspension of these activities.
The people were loud and clear. 70% of the district's population told the authorities that, in the Andes Chaco, in the Biosphere Reserve, in these territories, we do not want mining and this has to be respected. They are very fragile ecosystems, taking hummingbirds into account, for example. Imagine in these species, these very small animals, the implications of an explosion to break the rock, the opening of a road to be able to bring in large trucks, tractors. It would be terrible. It would wipe out all this biodiversity.
We have come to the end of this news brief, but you can find this and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. You can also join us on our socials. We're on Facebook, on X, and on Instagram as well. For Telesur English and from the South, I'm Ana Marrero. Thank you for watching.